And that's real important. I mean, it's not just going out and collecting fossils. Then you're a fossil collector. But it's collecting the data that goes along with that and passing that data along to people that can use it to help better understand it. So I got involved with it a few years ago now when I stumbled on some tracks up here in Arizona in the Mogollon Rim. I happened to find 270 million year old reptile tracks that hadn't been found in that region before. I'm up to 94 sets now. So, as a citizen scientist, one of the first things I did, I went to our local paleontological society. They put me in touch with kind of a regional or actually national expert on Permian footprints. And he's in New Mexico. So I've been working with the curator of paleontology there at the Museum of Natural History and Science in New Mexico. Last week, or about 2 weeks ago now, I delivered 7 sets of tracks that I'd collected from this site. And now we have a total of 16 sets there. And again, this is in addition to the largest collection of Permian footprints in the world that they have there. As a citizen scientist, even, they gave me a guest pass to the collections site there, the collections facility, and I was able to spend 2 days studying, looking at Permian footprints, went through the entire collection, and specifically looking for prints that were of similar age, to compare them, to see similarities and differences. Spent an entire afternoon in the fossil section, looking at pelycosaurs and other mammal-like reptiles, studying their anatomy, try and determine the track makers. And I'm working with Dr. Spencer Lucas there now, and we will be publishing a couple papers coming up soon, one hopefully by about the end of March. So, citizen science can be whatever you want to make it. I mean, it can be collecting data for climate change, but it also can be doing some actual paleontology and making new discoveries. The video premiere I've got coming out here in about, 35 minutes on my video channel. It's just a short video, 10, 12 minutes, but it goes into a bit more on my discoveries. And also, there was an 8-year-old boy that discovered Zuniceratops, a new type of, ceratopsian. It was quite a while ago now. But there is an update that shows him out in the field, discovering new fossils there again, too. So, there's just a lot of things that people can get involved in. You just want to make sure you go about it the right way. You are collecting data. You need to follow the scientific method. You want to work with paleontologists if you're doing paleontology, for sure. So I talk about Ben Franklin and Mary Anning as examples of kind of famous citizen scientists that we've had in the past. But that's basically what I want to talk to. I had a bit more, but gosh, this was so interesting. I mean, I could have listened to Dr. Krauss for another hour. It was amazing.
Yeah, easily, right? Yeah, easily an hour. Man. We just barely touched the surface of some of that stuff.
We have quite a few super chats, so I'm going to start in on them to make sure that we get everybody's in. I tried to ask the questions, and I tried to. There were a couple questions that he actually answered in the stream. I don't know if the people that asked these questions kind of came in later, but you can go back and like Pragmatic Culture, yours, he went into detail what he meant by something from nothing, so you can go back and watch that. Let's see. Dima Cherry says we have Occam's razor and Hitchens razor. Do we now have Jump's razor? If your argument doesn't indicate only one thing, it doesn't indicate anything. Craig Humphreys, do Bill or Lawrence think that the discovery of intelligent life on another planet would put an end to the fine-tuning argument, or would it just start a finer tuning argument instead?
Well, I think if they showed up and conquered us, it would. We wouldn't be the
highest
for them. Life form out there. Yeah. But I think any discovery of life independently started anywhere in the universe from us is pretty much would put an end to that, I would hope.
I don't know. I mean, I see a lot of theories going to an anthropic solution for things. Maybe, I do accept the weak entropic principle, but I don't think anything showing up is really going to change any of that. I mean, it's still fine-tuned for life as we know it in some way. So whatever shows up here, it's still life. Maybe they would just move the goalposts and say, well, life was created by God to have all kinds of different types of life. There's nothing special in that regard. A lot of theists posit there can be extraterrestrial life. So I don't think it would change much on the fine-tuning argument.
I think they're saying now that it's mainly because the fine-tuning argument is that it's mainly because we are the only, or what they think we're the only.
Yeah, that'd be more strong anthropic, though, right? That life is finely tuned for us in a way that.
Yeah, but I think that's what they mostly mean it as.
Yeah, some. I mean, obviously, it makes sense that the universe is such that if we weren't here to observe it, then we couldn't make these observations. So in that way, the weak anthropic makes sense. But I don't think it was specially designed such that we ended up being the reason why the constants are the way they are.
Well, I think the question is geared to ask in this aspect, in terms of people using the fine tuning argument to account for us being the only intelligent beings on this planet, in this solar system, in this galaxy universe. If it's found somewhere else. Sure. That's the case, then it would destroy that. Ronnie
Unless
D,
they've got a Bible and they're talking about Jesus, then it might be detrimental to the atheists out there.
The thing would be, though, then how would what if they had a completely different religion? That's what I would love to see, like a debate on cool. Non-sequitur between the candidate for religion from Earth and the candidate for religion from Zarmoxia.
Totally.
All right, Ronnie D, 1970 says. Square root of pork chop is beta. That's true. That's true. The Canadian atheist says, "Hey Lawrence, haven't seen you INR 7 keynote. Love the beard." Okay. I asked that about Zero. Oh. No, it's INR though. INR 7.
Yeah, INR.
That might be a conference or something because it says keynote speaker. It's probably
Oh,
Ronnie D.
International something or other, I guess.
Ronnie D. 1970 says, "Incredible show. Thank you, NonSec and Dr. Krauss and Bill. You're welcome." Savage King 23. I asked him about that. That's the Hubble telescope. Thank you, Chinese letters that I can never pronounce. RJ. I do see an R and a J amongst the Chinese letters. So thank you, RJ. Andrew Kroll says, "Accelerator in space, solution to find what G is." WHT. What G is. Does that make sense to anybody?
I didn't know that.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Brian Stevens says,
I think it's asking what big G actually is. Because there's two things for G. There's little G and big G.
That's notorious BIG, right? That's big G.
Yeah, exactly. Big G.
Brian Stevens says, "Amazing." Stephen Bauman, "Wherever there are people, there will be rampant stupid." Amen.
That's a fact. Zero,
objective fact. 132. What constraints has the Planck data placed on inflation? If there are no B modes, what would that rule out inflation?
He's talking about polarization. There's like E mode and B mode of the CMB polarization, but I don't know how they affect inflation. Inflation is kind of a done deal, because inflation will solve the horizon problem, it'll solve the monopole problem, and it solves the flatness problem. So, three of the big cosmological issues are resolved by inflation. And if inflation was the case, then we would be seeing the CMB exactly as we are seeing it now. We would expect it to be picturesque of what we would be the case if we had the Big Bang and then inflation period afterwards. So I don't know how the modes would change that, Zero, but I do know what you're referring to as far as the polarization.
Athena, goddess of wisdom and warfare, says, "As Carl Sagan said, many parents shame their children for asking questions. That makes me sad." Epigora Altera says, "Stephen Hawking once said that capitalism posed a huge threat to not just scientific progress, but the survival of our species. What do you think about this?" Oh, man, that's such a loaded question.
Well, if capitalism leads to advanced artificial intelligence, they say that the most looming threat to society right now is AI.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. capitalism as opposed to what other type system? Like what else
It's the best.
is
It's the
better than
best we
capitalism?
got, right? Yeah, I mean, it's
Right.
laissez-faire has issues, and obviously we're not going to go to a
You
communistic
can
society now. You can
right.
incorporate some socialistic aspects. I'm cool with that, but
It is
Some
a
of them,
double-edged
yes, but
sword.
not a complete like outright socialism. Like because look at the trends though. You never see people that are coming from other systems or going from capitalism to other systems. It's always from another system over into capitalism. They're always trying to get into this one. It may not be perfect, but I think it's the most perfect that exists right now.
I have to agree with that. I do.
Dave? Was Dave saying something?
No, I was just saying it's a double-edged sword because if you have capitalism, you have it's a incentive to go out and do stuff, right? But at the same time, when you put inheritance in there, it's the people who inherit the work or the benefit of what you do tend to not want to do as much. So,
yeah, I agree with Daryl Frost in the chat that says the most looming threat to society is climate change. I couldn't agree with that anymore.
yeah,
that is a much bigger threat.
Yes and no. See, I disagree. It is a threat, but it's not an existential threat. And there's a difference being is that when we're talking about doom and gloom, we could survive climate change in certain ways. The existential nature that they're saying is the most likely to actually eradicate all life on Earth, right? Not just humans, but would be AI.
No,
and if you guys watch, well, hang on. If you watch the Orville the other night, brilliant episode on that. Brilliant episode on Orville that was very, very similar. That was predicated on that very thing, that AI will eventually realize that they're better than the masters, and could live on a planet that's completely sterile of life.
We have to get there first, and if we don't do something about climate change, we'll never make it to the era where that's even an issue. We don't have much time left in terms of
data.
Climate change is a threat to our species for sure, but I mean, we wouldn't.
Sure.
We also wouldn't be here without climate change. So,
sure.
Is it a threat to life on Earth? Maybe as we know it, the different species in that, but life will go on.
Well,
sure.
Think about it this way though. Here's my thing with that. I think we were better suited because we were more like in that mindset back then when the climate change, when climate change was a thing, several thousand years ago. We were hunter-gatherers, we could do that. Now, you put somebody like me out in the middle of the wilderness with no grocery store, no access to anything, I wouldn't last a week. And
you are the epitome of a glamper, aren't you?
I don't think most people would, honestly. I think there's people like doomsday preppers would. Yeah, I don't see that happening nowadays.
I like
people are too
the
pampered
outdoors.
nowadays.
No, I could live off the land for a while.
Yeah, you like the
I would
outdoors
actually go
now.
to Canada. I would hook up. I would hook up with Ozzy. Ozzy could probably live off the land eating berries and hand fishing.
Yeah, you two would talk philosophy until you either froze to death or a bear came and ate both of you. You'd last
what a
a
way
week.
to go, right? What a way to go. I'm okay with that.
Okay, so Cookie Nibs, thank you for the super chat, says, just because it's Lawrence freaking Krauss and Bill Ludlow. Krauss always finds a way to explain mind-blowing topics. Thanks for yet another excellent show. You're welcome. And then pragmatic culture. Sorry if this has been answered, but can you ask Dr. Krauss to define what he means by nothing? If it contains anything, example, space-time, energy, subatomic particles, does it still count as nothing to him? So the reason I didn't ask this one on the show, you can go back and he breaks that out in good detail at the very beginning. I don't know if you caught that, pragmatic culture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm going to be talking about this tonight. I'm going to be having a little thing on my channel talking about the actual book and something from nothing. We're going to talk about the actual science a little bit more. So if you're interested in that, I can actually address that question because I've actually read this book twice. So
okay, there you go, pragmatic culture. Aaron Coulter, in the name of nothing, thank you for your donation. We accept it in the name of nothing. Andrew Botella says, Lawrence said that every physical theory has edge cases that indicate where it stops applying and hints to its replacement. How does that apply to Newtonian mechanics? I don't see any edge cases there.